has written an absolutely wonderful book, and it's called Devotions from Genesis. So welcome.
Hello.
And I never met Nicole till you walked in the door, and I gave her a big old hug because I said, I feel like I know you after I read this. And you are exactly like I thought you would be.
Oh, thank you.
And you've written this book, and I hear you're working on your second book already.
Yes, I am.
With the publishing company, and that's Tate Publishing Company.
Yes.
And everybody, I don't know how to explain this book. I'm going to let you do a lot of talking, but I love to talk to the book author when they come in after reading it. Again, I felt like I knew you. It was from your heart, and your interpretation of Genesis and the key parts of Genesis, the first book, the Hebrew book, the first book. You talked to me. You didn't talk at me. You were really nice, and your interpretations are just lovely.
Thank you.
How do we get to this? I know you pray a lot.
Yes.
But and she divulges her prayers in this book. So tell us, how'd you do the first one?
Well, I am a journaler, so I spend my mornings with the Lord, and during my time with Him, I just fill up a notebook after notebook. And I had started a notebook that was just what I have learned about God. And so I started back reading in Genesis, and I was reading through Genesis, and I was just writing down what God showed me about Himself as I was reading through. And I was about halfway through Genesis when God told me to go back and turn what I had written into a devotional.
And it is. And I mean, you don't have to read the whole book at one time.
No.
You know, you could read a chapter. You could read, and they're very short chapters you have.
Yes.
Okay, and you could put it down. You can pick it up again. It's not because, well, we all know. Okay, but your interpretation. Now, let's go through this. First of all, let's talk about Genesis first.
Okay.
Okay, the first book in Hebrew.
Yes, it's the first book of the Old Testament, the Hebrew Torah, and it's the beginning.
Right. And that's what Genesis, I mean, you take all the Hebrew words and the English words, and you tell everybody what they mean.
Yes. Yeah. One of the things that I learned, I study through precept upon precept with Kay Author, and one of the things that I learned through those studies was that when I learned the original Hebrew and Greek words, the scriptures take on a whole new light.
Right.
They make more sense, and they take you deeper than what you just see.
Right, you're not reading words anymore. No. You have meanings to all those words. Yes. Okay, now in Genesis we go from the creation of the world to Adam and Eve, Noah's Ark, Joseph and his coat of colors. We also, Abraham, the seed of salvation, and many, many more. Okay, so do you want to talk about some of these chapters? Now I hit all these notes. There they are. There's my notes. Hello. Okay, this is a devotion.
Yes.
Okay, and explain what you mean by that.
Devotionals is, usually in the devotionals you pick a verse and then you dig into that verse. And so that's what I've done with this book is I would go through each chapter, and God would just bring a verse out, and then He would take me deeper with that verse. And so then I would just look at that verse and share what God had showed me through that verse and see how it applied to my life today. And so devotionals, you take the scriptures and you apply them to your life. It's like, okay, God, how does this affect me, and how can I use this in my everyday life? Take this past knowledge and bring me application.
Yeah.
And that's what the devotional does.
Okay, so we're going to give you an example right now. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. In the beginning.
In the beginning, God created heaven and earth.
So you read this.
Yes.
Now, and you sit down with your notebook.
Yes.
And a lot of Hebrew words.
Yes, a lot of Hebrew words.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that in the beginning God, that word God is Elohim, and that word is plural in the Hebrew. So right there in the beginning, God is showing us the Trinity. He's giving you a picture right there. And in the beginning, God, and He's showing you that He created time right there. Time, didn't exist.
Something
started.
Mm-hmm.
And He created the heavens and the earth. And that word created is bara ex nihilo, created out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
God didn't start with something the way that, we'll say that we've created something, but we had to have something to start with first. God started with nothing.
Nothing.
He started with nothing, and He created it out of nothing. And that's what that word created means when you look at the Greek, bara ex nihilo. And I may not be pronouncing that correct. That's my southern interpretation. And He created the heavens and the earth. And in that we see time, and we see space, and we see matter, and we see the universe. And, and it's just all of that in that one verse.
It says it all.
It says so much.
And then He creates, and as we go through the creation of things God created, which is everything that we see and smell and touch today,
Yes.
Because He's given man ability to create things. And He gave us all abilities we'll get into Adam and Eve later. But the creation, and you talk about it just doesn't occur. There was a plan.
Yes.
Tell me
God, God formed and then He filled.
Mm-hmm.
He started with the earth, and then everything had an order. The water and the land and the plants, and then He created the animals. And He didn't create the animals. I'll tell my kids, He didn't, create a bird and a cow and be like, oh no, what are they going to eat?
Right, and what are they going to drink?
Now, what are they going to drink? What am I going to do with these? He started out with everything that they would need before He put them on this earth. And the same with man. He created us last, and He had everything in place that we would need before He created us.
Exist.
Yeah, everything that we would need was there and ready for us. And then He created man. And one of the things that I had never seen as many times as I had read the scriptures was where God said, in our image, let us make man in our image. Once again, showing us the Trinity right there in that first chapter of Genesis.
Yeah.